Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vana Chari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravrajacharya Astasata Shishi Mad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adwaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopna Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapurdam ki jai, Navadvipnam ki jai, Gangamai ki jai, Yamunamai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Gaura Premananda, Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi, Guru and Garanga and His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the 10th canto, chapter 47 and text 63. Vande Nanda Vraja Strinam Pada Renum Avikshnasya Yasam Hari Kadhogditam Punati Bhuvana Trayam Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenum Avikshnasha Yasam Hari Kadhodgitam Punati Bhuvanotriyam Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenum Avikshnasha Yasam Hari Kadhodgitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam. Adastrinam. Nandas Vajastrinam Andarinum Abikshnasha Yasamari Katodgitam Nati Bhuvanatriyam. Okay. Vande, I offer my respects. Nanda Vraja, of the cowherd village of Nanda Maharaj. Strinam, of the women. Pada, of the feet. Renum, to the dust. Abhikshnashaha, perpetually. Yasam, whose. Hari, of Lord Krishna. Kata, about the topics. Udgitam, loud chanting. Punati, purifies. Bhuvanatrayam, the three worlds. So translation, I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. So repeat. I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. So the purport given by the disciples of his divine... Oh, yes, thank you, sorry. I'm skipping to the Acharyas, which is right off of this. I'm not reading from the actual Srimad Bhagavatam. So the purport that's given by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Uddhava, having established the glories of the gopis in the previous verses, now directly offers his obeisances to them. According to the Sri Vaishnava Toshana, Sri Uddhava did not offer such respect even to Lord Krishna's queens in Dwarka. So I will go ahead and read and add some small comments or thoughts to the Acharyas. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur shares that after glorifying the gopis, Uddhava offers his respects in this verse. I offer my respects to the foot dust of the cowherd women of Vraj continuously, not 3 or 5 times, but at every moment, as long as I do not get birth as a blade of grass, which would make it easy to get their foot dust. Their loud songs about the form, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna purify the three worlds, removing the contamination of ignorance. In relation to this section, Vyasadeva and other great commenters have concluded as follows. Among all the devotees, those who worship Krishna are the best. Since Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, among those devotees, those who are his immediate assistants in his pastimes are more intimate because of their loyalty in following him. Among these intimate associates, Uddhava is the best, for it is said about Uddhava, among the devotees I am Uddhava. Uddhava is not less than myself. Krishna speaking. Uddhava, however, desired the gopis Mahabhava and had the greatest regard for those gopis. He did not give higher regard to the queens of Krishna. Otherwise, he would have desired to follow their lotus feet. Among the gopis, Sri Radha is the highest. Thus, following her is the highest achievement. This is the opinion of the Vaishnava Toshini. And then Jiva Goswami and Uddhava sharing that so much for being so bold as to offer respects directly to the gopis, since I am so insignificant. But I should offer respects to the foot dust of other women of Vraj also, since they are of similar type. I will not approach them directly, however. He then spoke with choked voice and trembling body some graceful words. The activities of Krishna sung by the gopis purify the three worlds. Udgayitinam aravindalochanam vrajangang namam divam aprishadvanahi dadnascha nirmantana shabdamistrito narasyate yena disham amangalam. As the ladies of Vraja loudly sang the glories of lotus-eyed Krishna, their songs blended with the sound of their churning, ascended to the sky, and dissipated all inauspiciousness in every direction. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:46-46. Or, the loud singing of topics of Krishna related to the gopis out of great bhava purifies the three worlds. It purifies the worlds after removing all indifferent or opposing bhavas. Madbhakti yukto bhuvanam punati. A devotee thus fixed in loving service to me purifies the entire universe. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-24. On this subject, Vyasadeva and others have given the conclusion, among all the devotees of Krishna are the best, since Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Among these devotees, the associates in his pastimes are the best, and among them the intimate associates are the best, since others follow them. Among these, Uddhava is the best. Tvam tu Bhagavateshvavaham, you, Uddhava, represent me among the devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:16-29. Aham Bhartu Rahaskaraha. I am the confidential servant of my master. 10:47-28. Tamaham Bhagavan Preshtam Bhaktam Ekantanam Kvachit. The Lord took the hand of his fully devoted, dearest friend Uddhava, Srimad Bhagavatam, 1042, but it doesn't give the verse. Nadavon Vapi Man Yunaha. Uddhava is not less than me. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.4.31. When Uddhava expresses a desire for the gopis' bhava, he does so to show them respect and show humility. He never said this to the queens in Dwarka, who then would not follow their lotus feet or the lotus feet of Radha. And then Sanatana Goswami shares basically the same commentary, but the first paragraph I thought was significant, and the others follow in line with the others, so I won't go because I want to get to a couple of other things. But he shares that and this is, again, Uddhava, I am completely unqualified for such direct service to the Lord. I simply offer respects to the gopis to attain such bhava. Or what qualification do I have to sing the glories of such persons? I offer respects to one particle of their foot dust which has fallen somewhere. So Omagana Timidanda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So there's a couple of things that really stood out for me in these translations, and as I was reading, and then always trying to figure out how to apply it to myself, and what personal meaning it has for me. And in the first, in Jiva Goswami's commentary, is it Jiva Goswami's? No. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, it shares Uddhava saying that I offer my respects to the foot dust of the cowherd women of Vaj continuously, not 3, not 5, but every moment, as long as I do not get birth as a blade of grass, which would make it easy to get their foot dust. And this really stood out to me because that thought of just being a blade of grass, at least for me, I think Gurudev even said, well, maybe you get to be a piece of grass in the spiritual world. And I was like, yeah, but how can I have a personal relationship with Krishna if I'm just a piece of grass, right? And so our mentality is so materially geared, that we think that being a blade of grass is not going to be significant, and therefore we don't want to consider it. And so maybe we're thinking that, I want to be a gopi, I want to be a cowherd boy, I want to be close and personal. But everybody and everything in the spiritual world is animated and is serving Krishna, regardless of what form they take. The soul is satisfied in giving that direct service. It doesn't really matter what form you have, but how often are we thinking, I don't think I want to be a blade of grass to just get stepped on, right? And so what's that element that's driving Uddhava to have that mood, and that mood is humility. It is the utmost humility of willing to be able to take, and what to speak of, to be able to take the dust of the gopis' feet and take that on and have that mood of love to Krishna, because certainly it's potent enough to shift the heart in that direction fully. And then also he talks about that those who are his immediate assistants in his pastimes are more intimate because of their loyalty. So loyalty is another really dear quality, and we can see that. And somehow this also reminded me of when it goes on to talk about Krishna saying Uddhava is the best, for it is said, Uddhava, among the devotees, I am Uddhava, and he is not less than myself. It also reminded me of the Bhagavad Gita sharing that about Arjuna, right? And also this intimacy that Arjuna has with, Krishna, and it's because of his loyalty. And then tied into all of that is this question of how is it that all these devotees can have these most amazing intimate pastimes? How is it that Krishna allows them to have that? And it is because of their loyalty and their humility, and it's because of their full surrender that Krishna actually trusts them enough to be their servant. So there has to be that trust, and that's what this whole process of Krishna consciousness is about, is allowing Krishna to learn, to trust us, because the more we uncover the heart and the more we get closer to being, a pure devotee by practicing sadhana bhakti and chanting our rounds, following the instructions of the spiritual master, having the association of the devotees, then, we get to that place where more and more humility is developed and more compassion. And the deeper we go into that, the more Krishna's going to trust us, and then the more he's going to reciprocate, and the closer we're going to get to that personal one-to-one relationship with him. And then in Jiva Goswami's commentary, Uddhava, just to kind of exemplify more of what I'm sharing, is that he talks about so much for being so bold to offer respects directly to the gopis, because I'm so insignificant. I offer the dust to all the women of Raj. I will not approach them directly, however. And this is another really significant point in practicing bhakti. It's not that we skip over and we serve Krishna directly. We serve by being the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And that's Uddhava's mood in taking on, I'll just be a blade of grass, just to get the gopis' lotus feet. And it talks about, this also of how he's glorifying them, and he wants this bhava that they have, but he wants it because he's so amazed by it, and it's not that he wants it just so that he can have it and, be in that place, that superior place. He's sharing that because he's glorifying them out of humility, knowing that he could never get there. I'm just going to be a blade of grass, but oh my God, would I love to have that level of love for Krishna, and the gopis are just so amazing, for having that. So he's glorifying them by giving, the desire of wanting to have that, not to be in their place, right? And understands that he's completely unqualified. And then one of the last things that's shared in Sanatana Goswami's commentary is a definition given to, or they loudly sing as if topics of the Lord, or they sing loudly as it was, as its topic, loudly sing with glorification of Krishna, and as it is topics of the Lord, or their singing was Hari Katha. And I also thought that was really interesting, that their singing was Hari Katha. And then for me, it was like even going deeper into that and thinking about how everything we do can be Hari Katha. Our cooking for the deities, our dressing for the deities, our cleaning the temple, all these things, if we're connected to Krishna in our thoughts, constantly in our mind thinking of Krishna, then all our movements and all our words and all our thoughts are Hari Katha. And I was thinking how, that's why people are so attracted without even knowing why there's a difference in being in the room with so many devotees versus, people that aren't practicing. And it's because of that connection to Krishna, and that's emanating due to Krishna's reciprocation and purification of the body. I mean, it's just so amazing how all of that, like how again, that thought, the example that's given in the spiritual world, that every word is a dance, and every step is a dance, and every word is a song, right? And so our whole life, when we're so absorbed like the gopis, and that's what the challenge horse is. It's challenging us to, take up this devotional service so that Krishna can be connected to us. We can have this loving reciprocation for him, but then also to share this and develop this love of God. And then through this purity, because purity is the force that Prabhupada talked about, then we can bring others to Krishna consciousness, because when you get so full of Krishna consciousness, you can't help, when you're full of that level of love, of wanting others to feel that, right? Of feeling like you're home, of feeling like you're protected and safe, of feeling like you have some purpose in life that's beyond this material body, that's not just going to end with this body, take another body over and over and over again, not even knowing what body you're going to take. So this compassion just grows and grows more and more. And so, of course, first thing I thought of too, and thinking about this humility was, the Shikshastika, the Sri Shikshastika by his Lord Chaitanya. Trinadapi Sunichana Tharorivas Hishnana Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, yet is always prepared to give all respects to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. And I was reading this, and I really want to go through this, and I'm hoping it's not going to bore you, but the commentaries here of going deeper and unpacking this verse were so beautiful that I was thinking I can't really help but share these thoughts around what, a deeper meaning of what Lord Chaitanya is trying to convey, and also giving the purport by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So going deeper into humbler than a blade of grass. When the holy name, which is the absolute embodiment of transcendental ras, I appear in the devotee's heart, setting him up to abhor, to detest, anything mundane, he begins to think, I am constitutionally an infinitesimal and eternal servant of Lord Sri Krishna. I have no real need for material life. Alas, because I have estranged myself from the Lord, I find myself strapped to the wheel of birth and death, unsuffering untold miseries. But now, by the grace of my Guru and all the Vaishnavas, I have come to realize that only by devotional service to the Supreme Lord can I find release from this dilemma and become reinstated in my original constitutional position and spiritual identity that leads to attainment of love of Godhead. Therefore, as long as I am not freed by the Lord's mercy from the chains of material bondage to go through life, I must embrace the path of Yukta Vairagya, and together with Sambandha Gyan accept only enough matter for my bare necessities just to keep my body and spirit together. So keeping it simple, and to get and understand where that grace is coming from, and allowing us to even try to become humbler than a blade of grass, and that's through the association and the grace of the Guru and all the Vaishnavas. The misery stemming from poverty, disease, calamity, old age, etc., and happiness due to wealth, health, beauty, and education, etc., are all prarabdha karmic reactions, which I shall inevitably have to experience. Loss and gain, birth and death, suffering and joy are in no way connected to spiritual life. Rather, they are wholly mundane, thus inconsequential to my real life. I will therefore approach the Lord with utmost humility and pray, O Krishna, O Govinda, O Lord of my heart, when will I be engaged in your divine service? Kindly be merciful upon this lowly creature and quickly accept me as your servant. In this mood, I shall either enter the forest or remain home and live frugally. I shall somehow sustain my life. Although grass is matter, its ego is natural and proportionate to it, whereas my false ego, made up of my gross and subtle bodies, is utterly illusory because it is not connected to my original spiritual self. It is only proper, therefore, that I become more humbler than a blade of grass. And then to unpack a little bit more deep meaning into more tolerant than a tree. Now to explain the real purport of Taror api suhishnana, more tolerant than a tree. The tree is considered tolerant because it never neglects to offer its cooling shade and succulent fruits, even to the woodcutter who is going to cut it down. The devotee of Lord Krishna is kinder still because he is compassionate to every living entity, whether friend or foe, desiring only their highest welfare. And I mean, we can see that. We can see it in Prabhupada. I can see it in my own spiritual master, that there's this compassion and this desire for the highest welfare of all living entities, regardless of what their point of view is, looking past what they're doing externally, what their habits are, what their conditionings are, really seeing their true self within their heart and encouraging that, right? That's real compassion, and that's the equipoised, pure devotee, having that as his supreme goal, of spreading this Krishna consciousness. One who chants offenselessly is overwhelmed with thoughts of others' well-being. Significant point. Chanting with offenselessly. That's what's going to take us to compassion. That's what's going to clear the heart and open the heart's door to really being compassionate, because we can't have that relationship with Krishna unless we're actually fully compassionate within the heart to all living entities. And then he'll trust us because he knows that we care about all his living entities, right? Thus, the second special quality, compassion without envy, is being described. He thinks, "O Lord, my friends and companions and all living entities are so unfortunate. How can they develop love and attraction for chanting your all auspicious names? They are sopped down in the quagmire of family attachment, wealth, property, successes, failures, loss and profits, joy and sorrows, birth and death, etc., all because they are blinded by Maya. They are not there is not the slightest indication that they are disgusted with a futile material existence filled with anarthas or unwanted things. They are slowly strangling on a rope of unlimited desires for mundane sense gratification, all the while busying themselves in vacuous pursuits of fruitive action that promise them divine pleasures and of empirical knowledge that tantalize them with the promise of liberation. How can these persons become attracted to self-realization?" And again, to me, that was such an epic image and metaphors, that they are slowly strangling on the rope of unlimited desires. And again, it's pointed, but it's also because I've had a compassion, because if you see somebody who's strangling or dangling from a rope, how can you not feel like, how can I get them out of that situation? And the pain and the suffering, I don't want them to go through that. Even if they've done something wrong, let me figure out how I can help them. So praying to the Lord in this way, the devotee's heart is flooded with spiritual emotions, and he begins to sing loudly, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nashcheva, Nashcheva, Nashcheva Katir Anyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. And so then it goes on to unpack freedom from false prestige, and how you can chant offenselessly. The word Amani describes the third quality of the devotee who chants offenselessly: a spotless heart free from false ego and false prestige. All gross and subtle bodily designations are derived from the mode of ignorance. Yogic powers, mystic powers, material opulence, natural beauty, high birth, strength, social status, influence over others, etc., are but a function of false ego, are incompatible with real spiritual identity. To completely reject these false designations is to have a spotless heart, which is what we're working on. Devoid of mundane ego and false prestige, he who, in spite of having every reason to be proud, demonstrates tolerance, humility, and a spotless heart, is a fit candidate to chant purely. So that's what we've got to work on. We've got to get rid of all of that in order to chant purely. And then obviously chanting is the process for becoming pure, the means and the end. A devotee of Krishna, whether he is a Brahmana living in the house, must subdue the pride of being a Brahmana. And if he is living a renounced life in the forest, must conquer the supercilious attitude, careful to avoid becoming proud of being a Brahmana, of being a renunciate. He should simply concentrate on the lotus feet of the Lord and chant his holy name, offering all respects to others. Next, the word manada means to offer all respects to others. This is the fourth symptom of a devotee who chants without offenses. He understands that all living entities are eternal servants of Lord Krishna, so he's never envious of anyone. He pleases everyone with sweet and sincere words, and his exemplary life brings benediction to the whole world. In this world, he offers his respect to distinguished personalities and learned brahmanas, and to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods he offers his obeisances with utmost humility, praying to them to increase his devotion to Lord Krishna. And there again, having the association of Prabhupada and these pure devotees, hearing from the acharyas, and then what mood is it that we take, knowing that we're struggling with all these different anarthas and all these unwanted things in the heart, and pray simply, not for wealth, not for knowledge, not for anything but, please increase my devotion to Lord Krishna. Please increase my connection to Krishna in the heart so that I don't want all these unwanted things. And I'm, benevolent and caring and compassion to the devotees, to everybody in this world, and to all living entities. To elevated Vaishnavas and pure devotees, he offers his services with heart and soul. So then the highest success. Chanting the holy name adorned with these 4 blessed qualities is the highest success of human life. This is the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most magnanimous incarnation and savior of the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ancha, chapter 20, text 22 through 26, it is stated, "These are the symptoms of one who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground, and like a tree he tolerates everything. When a tree is cut down, it does not protest, and even when drying up, it does not ask anyone for water. It yields up its fruits, flower, and whatever else it possesses to anyone and everyone, tolerating scorching heat and torrents of rain, yet giving shelter to all." This is the great devotee. "Although a Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he is prideless and gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resident of Krishna. Everybody has Krishna in their heart. If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna in this manner, he will certainly awaken his dormant love for Krishna's feet." So this should be our prayer, right? Yeah, Ancha in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 20, text 22 through, chapter 20, 22 through 26. And this is purport by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. "The living entity is by constitutional eternal servant of Lord Krishna, and therefore his eternal dharma is to chant the holy names of the Supreme Lord 24/7. Whether he simply transits this material world or permanently enters the spiritual sky, we're always chanting no matter where we are, Lord's glories. There is no better means for humanity's all-around benefit and success other than chanting the holy name." Boom. "Chanting brings good fortune to others and all auspiciousness to oneself." So in the process of purifying ourselves and sharing it with others, it's all auspiciousness for everybody involved, including ourselves, because we're valuable. We have an inherent value because we are also part and parcel. We have to love ourselves in order to be able to love other people and to love Krishna. If we don't love ourselves, we're not considering that Krishna is in our hearts and that we're all connected because we're all part and parcels. In some way, we're one because, we're all, connected to Krishna, but at the same time, we're variegated because that's the essence of Krishna. There's so many varieties and so many different relationships that he wants to have. And all these gifts and all these talents and everything that we have that's positive that we can, in turn give to what they're talking about earlier in the purport of Yukta Vairagya, of utilizing everything for Krishna, that's because, we can use everything for Krishna, and there's so much variegatedness, in relationship to Krishna and all the relations he has, because he can have unlimited relationships, and he wants to have those relationships, and he wants to have that level of, variegatedness. So, how to avoid nama aparad. This shloka was spoken for the sole purpose of focusing how to avoid nama aparad and nama bas in chanting. One whose intelligence shies away from Krishna and rushes instead towards the intoxicants of material enjoyment can never perceive his true infinitesimal stature. By nature, one who tries to be an enjoyer does not realize the reality of his insignificance, which is really another valid, kind of hit me, boom, in the head. Like, one who tries to be an enjoyer, like to whatever degree it is, does not realize what his insignificance is. And in that insignificant is your humility. It's understanding that you're insignificant is really, exemplifies the fact that you're humble. Nor can he be tolerant. He is not at all inclined to give up his false ego and false prestige. A gross materialist is unwilling, even incapable, of acknowledging anyone as equal. The Vaishnava who experiences ecstasy in the Lord's name, on the other hand, is humbler than a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree, is unconcerned and even unwilling to receive respect, but is eager to offer respect to others because he sees Krishna in their heart. How can he not? an elevated soul alone is worthy of chanting constantly. When these pure souls offer their praise and worship to the Guru and the senior Vaishnavas, they do so out of manada. And when they give advice to disciples and sadhakas to chant, they encourage them with words of appreciation. In this case, they exhibit their innate quality of amanina, desiring no respect or praise in return. So the glories of humility. A pure devotee understands that these words of praise and appreciation are not empty mundane vauntings, but acknowledgement of spiritual qualities. And if the foolish misinterpret this as mundane, then he tolerates their railings and thus exhibiting deep forbearance. This is his nature. The unalloyed Vaishnava who chants offenselessly considers himself to be lower than the straw in the street and is trampled by the walking masses. A true saint never thinks himself to be a Vaishnava or claims to be a guru. He regards himself humbly as a disciple of the whole world. And you saw that in Prabhupada, where he said that so often to his devotees, I'm just your servant. You're helping me out, but it's all you who's doing everything. He's just so humble. He regards himself humble as a disciple of the whole world and the most meek and fallen soul. Knowing every atom and the infinitesimal spirit soul as the resident of Lord Krishna, he never mistreats anyone as his inferior, including our bodies, because it also reminds me of Gurudev when you were doing the stuff on the body and how the cells work, and you could just see the mechanism working like everything else, and you could understand that Krishna was present in every single atom, in all the nucleus, and how all these things are so fine-tuned. I mean, you could just see him, right? And so he's not wanting anything or doesn't require anything from anyone, even if others are envious and spiteful of him. He never retaliates. On the contrary, he prays for the well-being of his tormentors. A pure devotee is faithful to his guru. The devotee who chants the holy name offenselessly never rejects the devotional process he received from his guru, nor introduces a new method, replacing the Mahamantra with some concocted and imaginary rhyme. A Vaishnava's humility cannot be doubted or challenged if he preaches the glories of the holy name and writes books, as long as he strictly adheres to the instructions of his guru. One who tries to cheat and deceive others by making a show of humility, although he lacks it just to gain cheap adoration, is truly not humble. The Mahabhagavat, who is constantly chanting, does not see the material world as something for him to exploit for personal gain, but as diverse paraphernalia for rendering service, yukta vairagya, to the Lord Krishna, his associates and devotees. And so taking that yukta vairagya and utilizing everything not only to serve Lord Krishna in the temple, but all his associates, all the devotees, and every living entity. He does not think that this world is his to enjoy. Although he becomes proficient in chanting, he never considers giving up the Mahamantra. He is not interested in propagating new ideas and opinions. He realizes that to regard oneself as a guru of Vaishnava devotees strikes the death knell of his humility. And then the final, Lord Chaitanya's instructions. The plain truth is that one who does not heed Lord Chaitanya's instructions in the Shikshastika prayers is chasing after material gains. His sole intention is to satisfy his senses, thereby forgetting his true spiritual identity. He begins to hanker for recognition and the status of an elevated Vaishnava and Guru. But the holy name can never be chanted by such offenders. So to whatever degree we've got that in our heart, that we want some position, some prophet adoration and distinction, we're not going to be able to chant purely. So to be introspective, not to be obsessed, understanding that you still chant to open up the heart and to purify. You don't lock yourself in, by the negative. You really see the positive in everything, right? And knowing and chanting, okay, I've got all these challenges, I've got all these things in my heart, but I'm chanting with love, I'm chanting with devotion, I'm giving Krishna everything that I have, and it'll take care. And then you do your devotional service, and you do it like a song, you do it like a dance, you do it like constant Hari Katha. You try to get to that. I mean, it takes time. I mean, I'm thinking of myself and I'm thinking, I don't do that. This is all, encouraging myself. I'm not saying this to you that just you should do this. I'm trying to encourage myself and remind myself that this is important. I'm not, above all that. So even An otherwise sincere and faithful disciple cannot become worthy of hearing and chanting the pure holy name if he hears from such an offender. So. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's important to give encouragement because it's such a challenge, especially in this material world. So, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to the Association of the Devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Kanvandam Maravindadalayataksham Varhamatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vigamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priti manti Vasyanti pan Vikayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Namam Sharam Satchit Anandurupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Rajamanam Yasodame Yolo Kalanavamanam Paramrista Chantato Druja Gopya Budantumuneta Yugmamrishantam Karamboja Jugmena Satankanetram Shakam Patre Kankakanta Sita Gravam Damodaram Bhakti Badam Iti Driksalil Nabir Ananda Kunege Swagosham Nibajantam Akyapayantam Tade Sita Getu Bhakta Ditagatam Munak Primatastam Shatavriti Vande Varam Deva Mokshamna Mokshavatim Maha Nachanyam Vrne Ambare Shadapiha Idam Teva Purnata Gopalabana Sadame Manasya Virastam Kimanyai Idam te mukhomojam Achanta nilai Ritam kuntalai Snigdha raktaisya gopya Muhuschombitam bimba Raktadadamegi Manashamirastam Alam Lakshalabai Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu tuka jalabdi magnam. Kripa tristi vristati dinambadadu grahaneshama magyamain yakshidrasa. Guveratma jaumana muchay Vayad vagat Vayamochitaw Bhakti Bhajal Kritocha. Data prema bhaktim swa kame prayaja namokshe garko mesti damodareya. Namaste Damne Spuradipti Damne Twadiotarayatha Vishvashadamne. Namo Radhe Kaya Tva Diya Priyaya Namo Nan Tadilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Namam Misharam Sachit Anandurupaham Latsatkun Dalam Gokule Brajamanam. Yasodamiyo Lukaladavamanam Paramristamachantagoto Nurchagopya. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananu Radha Golokananu Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya, also Teta Sitashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chanananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrendi Ki Jai, Dhammacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Dvaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudhi Gaur Bhaktam, Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopinath Sayam Kund Radhakunda, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuradam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Munamari Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada. To the Supreme Controller, who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and his mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes. He shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace shook. To the Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, who is bound by his devotees' love, I offer my humble obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who were attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy upon me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian